Welcome to Make a Difference with Phil Martelli. I am Jared Phillips. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I got to say, the one thing on my mind right now when I look at the snow around us was just that iconic Philadelphia sports moment we got from Saquon Barkley in the snow, guiding the Eagles to the NFC Championship game with just another massive, massive game. It was just an unbelievable game to watch. Harkens back to the LaShawn McCoy Snow Bowl game about a decade ago, which I was lucky enough to be at with my brother Josh, and just an unbelievable moment. And I have to kick it to you because I'm wondering. I know it won't quite affect you quite the same, but there has to be some inclement weather through the years that has certainly tapped you into a couple issues with hoops.
I know when you brought that up in our prep. I had to think about it. And early in my career, I don't know the exact date. It may have even been my first year. We were going to play Boston U at home. And I confirmed in the morning that the game was going to go on, even though school was closed. Confirmed that Boston U had gotten here and also that the referees, so the game was on. And then I feared, how about if we're going to play in an empty alumni memorial field house, that will impact our team. So I took a block of tickets, maybe 200, 250 tickets, and walked out where the students were sledding on cafeteria trays down the hill. And I went up with some choice words and said, as long as you're going to use these tickets, then we will win this game. But I'm holding you to this. And they showed up and we won that game. But then other things came into mind. There was a stretch where we were going to play at LaSalle. Game was canceled. And then the game was tenuous like for 2 days later, still because of snow. And Mike Folger and Tom Henson, my next door neighbors, came over with a snowblower. I'm out there with like a Fred Flintstone type shovel trying to figure out how to get all this snow off of the driveway. They took that snowblower, cleared the whole area, and I was able to get to the game, and we won that game at LaSalle. And then the third one that came up is my first year at St. Joe's. We went to Virginia Tech. The associate athletic director called me and said the game was canceled. And I was like, oh, you're trying to push around a rookie. And I said, no, we're playing. And the guy said, Coach, look outside your window. And I was on the first floor of the hotel, and I looked out sliding glass door, and the snow was about halfway up. And I said, okay, never mind. And I hung up and then called Don DeJulia and said the game's canceled, but we're going to practice. And he is the calmest, nicest man in all of college sport. And he said to me, you're not going anywhere. And I looked and I said, I can see their practice facility. We're just going to walk over there. He goes, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. And when I went outside, suffice it to say, we didn't go anywhere. We ended up staying in Blacksburg for 2.5 days. And the hotel, it was so crazy on the roads, the hotel was running out of food.
Oh, my goodness.
So we eventually canceled that game, made it up later, bussed home on a yellow school bus to get ready to play the number 1 ranked team in the country, UMass. They end up refusing to travel because of a state ban in Massachusetts. And we played them a day later and lost in overtime to the number 1 team in the country. So, yeah, I have an idea of inclement weather, but those were the ones that popped into my mind.
I have to give a quick shout out to 06 grad Bradford Pearson. I found this tweet thread of his side of the story from that day, that BU game. And he said it might have been the loudest he had ever heard Alumni Fieldhouse. He said, you came over there. And look, this is his quote. I need every one of these crazy mother bleepers in this gym tonight, handing over those tickets. And I think you guys blew them out by like 30, something like that. And it was worse than that, apparently. So it seems like it worked.
Well, I hope that it worked. And luckily, I don't use that language anymore. So.
That was a young Phil. So yeah, you've learned. We have a unbelievable guest coming up who's got a very busy day ahead. So we do want to jump to him pretty quickly. Someone who is going to continue our quest to help crush cancer. First, we do, of course, want to get on with the Martelli Minute.
Yeah, we want to, again, thank and salute Status Solutions Network. They're committed to making a difference by providing Alicia Law compliance safety technology to schools through a grant of use, ensuring that financial barriers never stand between students and proper safety. Each community has the power to create real change. Learn more at statussolutions.com, statussolutions.com. The Martelli Minute, Phil Martelli Phil Martelli, Instagram. And there's a lot, with Dr. King being celebrated today and people out in their communities. This is a way of giving back through the Martelli Minute. At the toughest of times, remind yourself to hold on to hope. You don't have anything if you give up hope. So at the toughest of times, whether it's for you individually, your family, your organization, hold on to hope. All positive, healthy relationships start with respect. Right? So much now, that's toxic, that's this. Yeah, but if you boil it all the way down, it's just, do you respect that person? And respect their differences, respect their opinions. You don't have to agree with it, but just respect is a big deal. Build a foundation of trust by simply doing what you promise to do. Why? Actions speak louder than words. And then I have a Martelli suggestion. Take 10 minutes today, tomorrow, whenever you get to see this segment, scroll through and digest some of the quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King. His challenges ring true today as they did when he was walking this earth. And what did he challenge us to do? Make this a better world. And for that, we cannot celebrate and honor him in any greater way. 10 minutes. Just scroll through. I did it this morning, and it's powerful. His words will speak directly to your heart. And that's why he's being celebrated.
Another fantastic Martelli Minute. Thank you very much to Status Solutions. And without any further ado, we do have to welcome on a terrific guest.
And James Jones on game day is giving us some time. And offline, he talked to us about it, and I shared this with you. Game day, I didn't talk. I didn't shave. I didn't shower until I was leaving for the arena. I read the newspaper, and because this moment in time, a coach has everything in his mind. What if the other team plays a box and one? What if the other team does this? What if the other team does that? What if I get a call that my player has the flu? All of those things run through your mind. So you really don't want to engage with anybody. When you get to the arena, then you're ready to go. So game day, extraordinary. But that's what we have in James Jones. A leader in college basketball, a teacher and an educator on and off the court, a warrior in the crusade to crush cancer, a great communicator, willing to listen, and thoughtful responses. That's what makes a great communicator. The vice chair of the Coaches versus Cancer NABC Council collaborates with the NABC and the NCAA and the American Cancer Society. Let's not forget, big NCAA win last March, looking to duplicate it this year. James, thank you for joining us.
Welcome. Thank you for having me on. Always good to see you guys.
So we'd like to start with your journey. How did James Jones end up at Yale getting ready to play Dartmouth today?
All right. Well, let me start off by saying it's great to be on with you guys. It's awesome to see you with your nephew. That must be special for you guys to do this together. And the words that you said about me, Phil, are the nicest things you ever said. And I'll have to remember those, because when I see him in person, he's always killing me about something or another. And like you mentioned, how he's a little foul mouth, and he likes to put that on James Jones all the time. And my brother Joe, I have no idea why, but it's always good to see you, Phil. And yeah, my journey to Yale, I'm blessed, and I feel like I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet. I didn't set out to start coaching. I didn't know I wanted to do this when I was in college. I kind of lucked into it. I was working for a computer company, selling business forms products, and I was dating a young lady who looked like Whitney Houston at the time. And her sister was a friend of the women's basketball coach at Albany, where I went to school, and it was Travers Waist Track Day. And I went up there with her, and I ran into the assistant women's basketball coach at Albany, where I went to school, and said, "Hey, Doc's looking for an assistant." And I had grown tired of coaching, and there was a lot of money being made on Wall Street, and I decided to go back to school and get an MBA and go work on Wall Street afterwards. And I coached a JV team at Albany, and I was snake bit at that time. My team was 17-3, and I thought coaching was easy. Right? I didn't realize I just had better players than everybody. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just had better players than everybody. And from there, I worked for Doc Sowers for 5 years, learned a lot from him. Was fortunate enough to come to Yale as an assistant for 2 years under Dick Kuchin. I worked for Dick for those 2 years, and then I moved on to my Ohio University under Larry Hunter, and had a lot of fun with Larry for a couple of years. He has since passed away. Really good coach, really good basketball mind, tough-minded man. And I came back to Yale 26 years ago as the head coach, and it's been nothing short of miraculous and fun. And I was just telling the crew coach here at Yale, he said, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" Because I hadn't seen him for the holidays. We had passed some greetings, and I go, "I'm doing great. I coach basketball for a living, and I have the best players, the best people in the world to be around every day." So very fortunate, very lucky man, and really excited about our game today and the rest of the season.
So when you take the Ivy League perspective, where's the profession and where's the game from an Ivy League point of view?
Well, I guess I can speak from more of a James Jones perspective. I'm not certain what everybody else from the Ivy League is going to see. I look at it as almost a shame of what's going on in college athletics today. I think there's so many lessons that are learned through athletics, and they're being lost because the pendulum has swung so far to the other side, where kids weren't allowed to. If Phil Martelli's a college basketball player and he wanted to run a basketball camp in his hometown, wasn't allowed to do it. If they wanted to sell your jersey in a bookstore, you wasn't allowed to make any money off that. And those rules were like sort of silly in what we did. And now the pendulum swung so far the other way that everything is done for the student athlete, and they're losing the opportunity of what it's like to be part of a team and have something bigger than you. And I think that's the crime of all this, is that we think we're helping the student athletes by giving them money, but we're not, because money goes here and there. The lessons you learn in life, what you learn from basketball and what you learn from coaches and teammates, those are the things that are going to be with you for the rest of your life. Money's fleeting. It's going to be gone, right? But the lessons that you learn, the things that we want to teach you, trying to help young men grow up to be great fathers and great people and great members of the society, we lose some of those opportunities through what's going on in college basketball now. Now, the game itself is still great. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting. But all the lessons that are learned internally are ridiculous. Like, you were at Michigan last year, and our best player, Danny Wolf's playing at Michigan now. That's ridiculous. And it's just ridiculous. The movement and how it goes is just, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And we play within the rules of what we have to do. And our conference was 13th best in the country last year as far as KenPom's concerned, and we're still 13. I just imagine if 5 of the best players in our league didn't transfer, what our league would look like right now. Because you can't really transfer into the Ivy League. It's hard to find kids that are good enough academically to get into our school. And most of the kids in the transfer portal are looking for financial assistance that we don't provide.
There you go.
James, when you speak about that, I mean, I look at your resume, and one thing that comes to mind is commitment. I'm sitting next to a coach that spent, nearly 40 years with one program. You're at 25 years, really more if you count your stint as an assistant, that commitment to a program and to building something, it does feel somewhat lost at times. I mean, how can you speak on just committing to a program, wanting to build something, wanting to be a part of something, and given the chance to do so, and given the room to grow, given leg room to be able to try and truly build something and make something of a program, do you feel like that is becoming kind of a lost art, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, Yale was very patient with me when I first got the job here, and there was room for that. I mean, I took over the program, and there were 316 teams in the country. Yale was ranked 314. So, what do you think that meant, Jared?
Definitely some work to do.
It meant we sucked. It meant our program was horrible. Like, I mean, we won 2 games, I think 2 or 3 Division I games a year before I got here. So we had room to grow, right? And they gave me some time to be able to do that. And the last 10 or 15 years have paid off great for that patience. But that's just not something that's done in college basketball these days. You're not going to get 10 years to try to build a program the right way and to make it so. And I look back upon. I look at what college basketball is today. I don't know, unless things change, and I don't know how they're going to change. We're in a transition period. It's not what college basketball was. It's not what it's going to be. So I'm not sure what that transition is going to look like. But I'm afraid that the Ivy League will not have opportunities like we had last March to go and beat an Auburn team. I don't know if you consistently have our best players lead the league. Will we have a chance to go into the NCAA tournament and beat, like the number 4 team in the country in the first round, which I believe Auburn was. So, like, when I hang up my shoes one day and I call it a day, I wish that I have an opportunity to go and, just like Phil, to go watch, St. Joe's playing NCAA tournament someplace. Because I certainly would travel if I'm, 73 years old and Yale's playing, in Texas someplace. I'm going to go watch that game. I just hope we have an opportunity to do that, and I'm afraid we may not, given the rules and how this looks going forward.
James, I do want to ask though, because of that commitment, that time it took to build something, when you finally get over the hump and rip that Band-Aid off and win that first tournament game, I mean, back a decade ago now, I mean, what did that feel like just as an accomplishment to just advance with that group and this program that you had worked so hard to get to that point?
I'll tell you 2 quick things. When I first got to Yale, I was full of piss and vinegar, and I was crazy, absolutely crazy. We won a championship in my 3rd year because I was nuts. I was like, my guys that played for me back then, I might have gotten fired depending on some of the things that we did back then. And if I would have continued to coach that way, I probably would have a heart attack. But I remember when I first got to Yale, my wife and daughter were in Ohio still, and I was here by myself. I get up at 6 o'clock every morning. I work out in the gym, be in my office by 8. I work to midnight. But I remember one morning after working out, I went into the gym, and I sat there in the highest seat you can go in the top level. And the only light that was on was the red that was shining down from the exit signs on the floor. And I just I closed my eyes and I thought about winning the championship, and I got the chills in doing so. And now fast forward, years later, we beat Auburn, we beat Baylor in 2016. What's crazy about that, I liken it to you being a 5-year-old and still believing there's a guy in a red suit and a white beard that comes down your chimney, and he's going to give you everything you want for Christmas. That's what it feels like, that innocence, that wonderful thing that we all look at as a player. Now, I wasn't good enough to be a player to play an NCAA tournament, but I always wanted to. So thank my lucky stars and the man above, I was been given this opportunity, and I get to coach these kids through those opportunities. And it's nothing short of brilliant. It's nothing short of magical. And that's the way I see Christmas morning for a 5-year-old.
So the idea of giving to the profession, and not just giving to your team, but giving to the profession. So Coaches versus Cancer, Suits and Sneakers Week. How can we, anybody that watches this, anybody that plugs this in later in the week, how can we make a difference? How can we join with you and the Coaches versus Cancer Council to really make a difference and to crush cancer? Help us do that.
Well, I'm asked all the time, how do we get more coaches to be getting involved with this? What do we do? And my thing is just ask, because cancer touches every single one of us. I can't imagine anybody that doesn't want to be part of this, because everybody knows somebody that's died of this wretched disease. Everybody does. I lost my mother in 2013. So anytime anybody asks me to do anything for cancer, the answer is yes. I'm on it, because I was in my 40s when it happened, and that's too young to lose your mom. Right. And I don't want that to happen to somebody else. So if we can get the word out and have people talk about it and raise monies to find new cures and new ways of fighting this, so people can live longer and have their moms longer than their dads and their brothers and sisters and cousins and uncles. That's just, I can't imagine anybody not wanting to do that. So the answer to that is just ask and get the word out and talk, and just see, everybody knows somebody that can help. Like one of the reasons why I'm on a vice chair is because Yale has some very long arms and can reach to a lot of places. And I have a lot of people that I'm contacting and trying to get them to support Coaches versus Cancer and lend money to it. And because again, at some day, cancer is going to be in the past, and it will. And there's so many strides that have been made over the years. The survival rate is so much better than it was 10 years ago and 20 years ago. It's so much better. And, as we go forward, it may save my life. It may save your life. It may not save my life, but it may save my kid's life. So anything that I can do to help, and just get your voice out there and just lend time, that's all you really need to do.
Absolutely. The idea of your voice. And I think the challenge for all, James, is go get one more coach. And that doesn't have to be a Division I coach.
Yeah.
I love the idea of going around the corner here to the high school and saying, would you try? And they're willing to give $1 off of each ticket for a high school game. Last weekend, my daughter ran a grade school CYO Coaches versus Cancer. It absolutely, it will fire up your entire community. Any coach that will just engage, because what James is saying is there's no one out there unscathed by this. So for the people that are going to watch games this week, and there's a lot going on, obviously, in this country this week, but when you watch a game, look for that oddity of the guy that changed out of his sweatsuit, got into his with James, it's like $3,500 suits. Like, this guy can dress. But they're going to have their sneakers on. And I'm going to pledge that the game that I'm doing Friday night, I'll wear sneakers at the VCU St. Bonaventure game. But there's more. We can do more. Yes, James, with our council, with our coaches, with our NABC.
No question.
Fire us up one more time to get everybody involved.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I go to the Final Four every year, and their coach is there, and we have meetings, and we need to get every coach that's at the Final Four. I know it's an early morning. I think it's an 8:00 meeting that we have. We just need to get bodies there and to get the word out on each and every one of our campuses, and how many more people we can touch if we do that. And again, like you said, just get one more guy and bring people to it. And I just can't imagine that going out the night before or not being able to get up at 8:00 in the morning and go to a meeting is more important than trying to help, fight this disease.
And it's personal. I knew it was personal. And again, your mom didn't sign up for it. Your family didn't sign up for it. And yet it impacted you. So I really appreciate you sharing your story and sharing your passion. And that I'm with you every step of the way to not beat it, but to crush it. So thank you for what you're doing for so many who you'll never meet, but you are impacting by your work. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Phil, like you and Coach Kruger, you guys have set the table for the younger coaches. And, now I'm kind of an old head now. I'm 60 years old. So I don't know how much longer my voice is going to be as loud as it is now. So we're trying to make sure that we get some of the younger guys that are involved in this when we go to pass, so this can continue to go in the right direction.
Amen.
James, we always leave you with one particular question, but I do have to sneak one in here. A little bit of a personal vested interest in here. I spent a cup of coffee up in Albany, covering sports up there. I covered the Great Danes, covered Siena. I'd love to get a good story you got from your playing days as a Great Dane.
Oh, well, listen, the best thing, we used to play Potsdam all the time. And, you know, they had this guy by the name of Witherspoon, and they were really good. Jerry up there, he did a great job at getting a bunch of Division I transfers, and they used to trounce everybody in the league. And there was a line that, and can I use profanity on this line here? Can I say a colorful metaphor?
Oh, have at it.
Well, the thing was that they were the Potsdam Bears, and this older gentleman who was a resident director at the university, he would always say the Bears shit in the woods. So that has stuck with me from this day forward, that the Bears shit in the woods. And you know, those playing days up there at Albany and the time I spent there is nothing short of magical. And I have a group of about 15 alums that I went to school with, that we get together every Memorial Day weekend. We've gotten together every year for the last 40. And a couple of those guys I play college basketball with, and it's just a wonderful thing to do. And oh, I'm going to share this with you right here. When I was a player, and I'm trying to find it in my office, when I was a player, the coach gave out the brick award. So whoever took the worst shot in the game got a brick. Okay. So I was in a Coaches versus Cancer golf outing in Utica, New York. And I met with one of my former alums, one of my former classmates, and my former coach lives in Utica, and he was going to go out to dinner with us, and he couldn't make it. So he sent me the brick from my freshman year. And so my name is on it. It wasn't I don't know who got the brick. I didn't get the brick, but I got the brick at least several games. But whoever accumulated the most, and I can't read all the writing on the side of it, who these people were. But anyway, this was just a great thing that we did back in the day. It was a great time, and I had a lot of fun at Albany.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah,
that is an awesome memento. Wow.
So we actually have a brick award on my team as well. We give out a brick every year, and then we have it at our banquet. We paint the brick blue, put the kid's name on it, and every year somebody's pissed off at Coach Jones because I give him the brick.
James, before we wrap up, I have to ask for some advice here. So you and your brother are going through this venture, and I, as a dad, sit back and now watch my son Philip at Bryant and my son Jimmy at Penn State. Yeah. How do you handle the emotions of your family being so invested in this game day after day after day? What could I do better?
Well, this is my piece of advice to you, Phil. I don't ever anticipate pain. I don't ever worry about stuff that may happen. Right? I worry about stuff that does happen. So for me, a lot of it, like, you know, people worry about stuff that might happen. Oh, these guys might lose here. They might lose this. They might lose their job. No, I'll worry about it when it happens. So that's one way to get some perspective on it, and don't allow those thoughts to go through your mind as they do, because you know how this is. But at the end of the day, Phil, we're coaching basketball for a living, dude. It's basketball for a living. It's a game that we all love, that we had fun with it, but it's a game. Like, we are in the entertainment business. That's what this is, right? And whether we win or lose, does it really make a difference? Like, does it really make a difference who the head coach at Yale is? Does it really matter? Like, does it really? No, it doesn't, right? Like, I'm sure there's some people that are happy that I'm here, and I'm sure there's some people that don't give two craps that I'm here. So my thought of it is just put in perspective. Enjoy what we're doing. Enjoy the battles. Like, you know, I'm sitting on the bench at Columbia and we're losing in the second half, and I'm enjoying myself. How do I figure out how to win this game? How do I figure this out? What do I have to do? What button do I have to push to try to win this game? That's the fun part for me. And whether we win or lose, because you want to win every game. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to lose any games at all. But at the same time, I got a different perspective, I think, than most. And if you ever watch me coach, Phil, I'm as calm can be. Like, I spike every now and again, and that's usually at an official, very rarely at my players, because we get that done in practice, right? And it's about trying to be calm through all the tough stuff, because I don't know how guys how they lose their mind and they're able to think about the 7,001 decisions you got to make through the course of a 40-minute game.
And you know what's worth it? And I don't know exactly all the technical ways to do it. You want to watch his words in action? Go back and watch the Ivy League championship game last year against Brown, and decisions that were made over the last minute and a half, maybe a little bit longer than that, speaks to what James just said. So, James, thank you. Game day, extraordinary, but I would expect nothing less from you. This is the way we end these. Who's made a difference in James Jones's life?
It's got to be my father. I grew up next to the man. He was a presser in dry cleaners, and he made an undignified job dignified. We were in the back of the store doing all the work, and when it was 100 degrees outside, it was 112 in the dry cleaners. And he told me, and I stood next to him every day, and I worked with him because I love my dad, and it was a way to make money because I was really liked money when I was a kid. And he gave me life lessons every day. Told me to get something in my head. And when I graduated, and when I went to college, I struggled in my first year and a half. And I hit a wall, and I had a decision to make if I was going to actually get through college, because I knew that I did not want to go home and be a presser for the rest of my life. I knew I didn't want to do that. So my dad's words would ring in my ears about, how hard I had to work and what I had to do. And, obviously did a great job in finishing up at school and ended up getting a master's degree. But my father, his work ethic, I never saw the man lay down on the couch. Never saw him miss a day at work. Doesn't happen. Ergo, I've never missed a day. I've never missed a day at work. I'm never sick because my dad won't let himself be sick, because if he was sick, he couldn't feed his kids. So, that work ethic, and that's something that's in my DNA, and I'll never shake it. And I think that's the most important thing that's helped me be successful, is that, there's the never say die attitude, and I'm going to outwork you. I'll figure out a way.
There we go. That was it right there.
Perfect.
Thank you for all you're doing. Good luck. And nothing like March Madness. So, we're rooting here.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a great day.
James, thanks so much for joining us.
Take care.
The Brick Award was that was a killer. That was just a killer. I mean, so many amazing takeaways, of course, from James. I mean, he was absolutely terrific, but that one right away, just that cracked me up. I never even thought of it. That's a good gag.
I never thought of that one.
That's a good gag.
I never thought of that one, but that ending, that gets you.
Oh yeah.
Always does.
I mean, you talk about the work ethic a father can instill in you, and it's so vital. Suits and Sneakers Week coming up next week. Big week for Coaches vs. Cancer all across the country. I love to hear that you're getting finding a way to be a part of it still as well. I mean, I don't think someone has to really twist your arm to throw a pair of sneaks on, as opposed to dress shoes.
Well, that there's that story. I went to Michigan never having had more than 2 pairs of sneakers at a time. I came home with 41 pairs in boxes, and that was after giving some away to some of my main men at Michigan. Juan Matthews, who runs the building, the Chrysler, he was taken care of, and my managers were taken care of. And I had guys saying, well, I wear 9, but I can fit an 11. So, some of those shoes are up at State College. So I have to find out how they were dispensed.
I was going to say, what size are you? You still trying to give some away? I might take a few.
No, I'm done now.
I
literally
you are. Sure.
No, there are 2 upstairs, one for snow and one for working out.
There you go. I do remember that you just I've never seen more shoes in my life. You became a sneakerhead.
No, I did.
Yeah. Good time for it with Suits and Sneakers coming up next week. The Coaches vs. Cancer. I mean, James, a terrific steward for the game as the executive vice chair for the council, and really just a great, fantastic week coming up. Coincidentally, coincides with Catholic Schools Week, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But I do have to talk about my first place house. Temple.
Well, we're going to get
weekend.
there. We're going to get there because where I was started with NIT committee calls. You're assigned some leagues. You talk to the leagues. It's really interesting, focusing. It was focusing on where teams are, where they could be. Um, and then the Memphis and Temple practices leading into nationally ranked Memphis coming into Liacouras Center. I noticed right away the Temple enthusiasm, a lot of noise, and that's with the semester starting and the plan ahead for a whiteout. Did get to go to the Memphis shoot around, the Temple shoot around, spent a lot of time up there on North Broad Street. Atmosphere was terrific, the whiteout. Now, it was interesting as the game went on, it was almost like people were calling their buddies or their girlfriends back at the dorm and saying, "You better get over here, something great." Terrific competition, well refereed game, head to head action, and Temple with 5 double figure scorers when so much had been, everybody had been leaning on Jamal Mashburn Jr. He was 4 for 14 or 4 for 13. The rest of the players, you had a Sports Center top 10 dunk
Oh yeah,
by Dasoni.
that was sick.
They missed 17 free throws and still ended up winning a nationally broadcast game with a court storming. I was just afraid they were going to blow by us over the broadcast. I didn't know what to expect, but there was a lot of joy in North Philly that night. Execution of game plan was what I thought was really extraordinary. Then I debrief, and I got an invitation on Saturday. How about this unique invitation? Andrew Kettle he's on the Coaches versus Cancer Council. He created a high school program in the Scranton-Wilkesboro area that became one of the biggest fundraisers in the whole country for school initiative. He's now the coach at Keystone College. Keystone College started the fall semester with this announcement: we will no longer be a school next year because of Middle State's evaluation. But he kept his team. He's the coach at Keystone College, kept his team. He was playing in the area and invited me to come over and see Penn State Brandywine versus Keystone. And I went over and I caught the first half of that game, got to catch up with Andrew, another warrior in the Coaches versus Cancer fight. Came home to prep a little bit more for Tulane and Temple on Sunday. Different atmosphere. Ron Hunter, who was the president of the NABC at one time, is the coach at Tulane. They were coming in having beaten Florida Atlantic. Temple coming in having beaten Memphis. A little bit choppy start. And then they got rhythm. And again, a Temple win at home. And what you like about that team is there's no gesturing. There's no talking. They're playing. And they have players who are willingly coming into the game who could start. They start 2 freshmen, but yet he brings Adam Fisher and his staff bring 3 players in who could be knocking on the coach's door and asking to start, and they don't, for the good of the team. So it's a nice turnaround from their first year, 10-game losing streak last year, but did play for the American Championship. So that was a joy. But then this basketball thing catches you. I want to take you through Friday night, CYO game with my granddaughter Madeline playing against St. Andrews. Saturday morning, up early for Brandywine Youth Club basketball game for Nolan in the 2nd grade. Home to watch a live stream of Steven playing for Finn. Then to the Keystone Penn State Brandywine game, and then home to see Bryant playing terrific basketball at home against UMass Lowell. So when people say it's a family business, it is truly a family business.
That is so much basketball. Do you get time to eat ever, or would
Well,
like,
when I hit
sleep?
and run, when I move, and then I look ahead and what is to come. But back to your question about Temple, I like their balance. I like their depth. And now the measure is, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention 8-0 at home. Good teams win at home. Better teams win occasionally on the road, and the best teams in the league win consistently on the road. Now they're challenged to win on the road this week.
I was fascinated a little bit by the Tulane win because I think when you are there's so much juice, so much energy in that building to play Memphis and get a big win over a top 25 program. Hadn't done so since 2023. That felt to me, I was like, they can do this. They can make this happen. They have some talent on this team. But to turn around on a Sunday, 1 p.m. game, the Eagles are on later, and now the kids are all like, students are probably pretty wiped or going to do something for the Eagles or something like that. Like, you're not going to get that same juice. You're not going to get that same energy. The players may not bring that same level of commitment, but it's like, hey, this is a conference game all the same as that one was
at
Thursday.
At home.
Yeah.
And the way that we opened the broadcast was emotional balance. Mm-hmm. That's the charge of a coach. Not we're going to play man, we're going to play zone, here's your matchup, but the emotional balance. So what happens after a big win, the next day's practice, you can kind of get through on adrenaline. It's the next day's practice. So I didn't see Saturday's practice, but it had to be, that was the challenge for Adam Fisher and his staff, was that practice, getting your team to understand that in 24 hours, it's a go. And not being disrespectful to anybody, there's a lot going on. It's only us. And despite all the crowd and the energy from Thursday night, it's going to be only us. So look at the man to your right and look the man to your left and be honorable. That's what they did. They gave an honorable effort for sure.
Impressive stuff. Again, first in the American right now. It's early, but looking good. Looking good.
Might as well start there.
Yeah.
First is good.
So what you got coming up?
Well, we have we have the NIT full committee call. That'll be very interesting, where people give in their information from their individual calls with the conferences. We have a great opportunity to give back to the community. Fred's footsteps. Fred DeBona was the CEO at Independence Blue Cross. He is really the driving force behind Coaches versus Cancer in Philadelphia. We went and visited with him, and we were able to visit with him almost every year. Fran Dunphy, myself, and Jay Wright. And Fred fought and lost a battle to cancer. His children, Fred Jr. and Christine, started Fred's Footsteps, where they're out helping families. And they have invited Judy and I to a dinner on Wednesday night. So we're very appreciative. And we will have in April, May, Christine will be one of our guests, because they are truly making a difference. And then how about this? How about this one? We have a big game again, Monday, Martin Luther King Day, the start of Coaches versus Cancer, if I'm correct. Suits and sneakers
next week. Yeah.
The Penn State Rutgers. That's a really big game. Then there's a football game after that. But how about this? January 21st, we will celebrate Brynlee Martelli's birthday. On January 22nd, we will celebrate Avery Martelli, Brynlee's twin. We'll celebrate her birthday. So that's a little bit of a mind twister for those that are.
Yeah, hold on. Wait, what?
So twins that were born on 2 different days.
I didn't even know this. That's unbelievable. So like just 1 minute apart.
Brynlee was 11:56 and Avery was 12:01 the next day.
It's amazing because they kind of get their own day then, right?
That's exactly what my son Jimmy and Julie make sure that happens. But then January 23rd, Judy Martelli's birthday.
Big week for birthdays in the Martelli household.
Big week, and I'm happy to report that on January 23rd, I will be traveling. So we have to figure out when this exact celebration will be. She'll decline any offers, but I'll go in a big way.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be a limo to some famous restaurant or what. But we'll
That sounds
we'll,
like your style. Yeah.
we'll figure something out. So I have an opportunity this week to merely go back to my roots. I'll travel to Richmond on Thursday, watch VCU practice. St. Bonaventure is still to be determined. Friday, Bonaventure and VCU shoot-arounds. Friday night, 9 o'clock at VCU, St. Bonaventure at VCU. And I am really excited to be doing that game on Friday night. But other than that, I got nothing going on.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Not much. Just one of the biggest A10 tilts of the year, I would say. I mean, two teams off to a really good start. Bonnie's obviously suffered a bit of a setback with that LaSalle game, but other than that,
And then they got bumped by Duquesne on the road. But again, it's that challenge. In college basketball, good teams win their home games. Better teams win their occasional road game. And the best teams in your league win at the toughest places. And why is VCU a tough place? Because they have really good players and they have an unbelievable atmosphere led by their band.
I haven't been down there for a game. It sounds like I might have to make a trip.
That is worth a trip.
Yeah. That is, I would say, a fun week coming up for you. A lot of birthdays. Did you get all your gifts and everything?
No, we're still working on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Still working on that.
You learned your lesson, right?
That's for sure.
I'll tell you what, James was absolutely unbelievable, as expected. Really, I mean, knocked it out of the park once again. Truly a lot of fun having him on, and on a game day, no less. I mean, we cannot express enough how nice. I did not know that till this morning, and I was like, should we move the show? I had no. He's like, no, he's good, and really, our props to him. Another terrific guest coming up next week. We have a Block CEO, Rob Delaney, coming on. We'll be at Blocks for that one. Another show on the road. That won't be a lot of fun because that is Catholic Schools Week. So it'll be really cool to kind of highlight what Blocks does for Catholic schools and really just helping to further education in our communities, which should be a fun and insightful interview.
And one of the things that I'm really interested in is, yes, the commitment to education, Catholic education that Blocks high schools and grade schools. But I also know in talking with Rob and the people that they are looking at the physical development and plans and educational programming that will again elevate Catholic schools for the young people throughout our area. And we're going to get into this. They are sponsoring the Catholic League playoffs at the Palestra. We might have to make a difference. Blocks and the Catholic League play. We might have to weave that all together somehow or another.
We've been in talks about possibly making an appearance at the PCL championship. So we'll see where that all heads for us. But that would be, I think that seems like a likely place for us to be. Is what I would put it as, right?
Yeah, I like that. And then think about it. Then we're into February, and the one thing that we want to let everybody know is February and March, we're going to be very heavy in college hoops and high school hoops because those teams will be gearing up for district and state playoffs and league championships. So we want to go across the board, and we'll continue to delve into the idea of not just Division I, but what's going on Division II and Division III in our area, in our region, and in the country. Because as I noticed the other day, Keystone and Penn State Brandywine, those guys are playing ball, and they need to be highlighted in Division IIs and Division IIIs.
1,000%. I will say, at any level. I mean, if you can experience good hoops, it might be 5th and 6th grade girls CYO. It might be Division I blue blood college basketball. I mean, all across the spectrum, there's good hoops if you know where to look, right?
And then my one question for you.
Here we go.
Are you going to be able to sleep until Sunday?
Can I clue you in? So I was working a shift behind the bar yesterday during that game, back down in Baltimore, and my customers were scared because of how nervous. I was sick to my stomach watching that game. They were alarmed. They were like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need to go sit in the back for a little bit?" Like, I couldn't like look at anybody. I was like, wasn't talking. People were like, "What is happening? Like, are you gonna throw up?" And I was like, "I think I might." Like, the stress was. I felt like I was having a panic attack. It was alarming, and that's just the divisional round. So I have no idea what Sunday is going to look like
And then
with this NFC
and then you
Championship.
flipped it because you were in Baltimore. They were like that Sunday night.
Oh no, half the people in the bar were just cheering on the Rams casually. And I was like, I got to get out of here. It was driving me just because they were just like, I don't know, that'd be fun to see an upset. And I'm like, no, like I can't be in this room right now. And but no, it was fun, and it was fun because they got the win. That's all I'm really concerned about. We're on to Sunday. We're on to the NFC Championship, hosting
In Philadelphia.
in Philly against the Commanders, the upstart Commanders. We will see. I am.
Well, I guess I have to ask one more question.
I don't know if
Have they already started to, even in the snow and the ice and the cold, have they already started to what do they do with the poles?
grease the poles.
Grease the poles?
I would.
Because
It's going to need a few coats. It'll need a few coats. So I would say probably start this week. Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Broad Street,
Probably 3 or 4 coats should do it. I think
Cotman and Frankfurt, Delco.
it's going to be a party.
Delco will be.
It's going to be a party.
You know, we have to do some research though on. There's a Delco the movie that was premiered at the Media Theater last week. I don't know much or anything about it, but Delco the movie. What?
You're not in it at all?
No, I am not in it. I am not in it.
I will have to do some research on that. I had no idea. I do want to plug one last thing. I just remembered actually. Tommy and Me tickets still available at People's Light in Malvern. It's showing through February 1st. If you want to get out there, be sure to see that show. I had a few people reach out to me who had just gone to see it, and they said it's absolutely wonderful.
It's an experience.
It's a must see. It's a must see. So if you are looking for something to do, and sometime in the next 2 weeks, there are still tickets available on their website. People's Light in Malvern. They are showing Tommy and Me. That is Ray Didinger's play about him and his relationship with Tommy McDonald. Absolutely terrific. But I think that just about wraps it up for us here for Make a Difference. If you want to get in touch with Phil, head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com. That's where you can get in touch with Phil and give him your story, and he can hopefully make a difference either in the classroom, in the workplace, on the court, off the court, wherever it may be. If you like in the pod, we would really love for you to go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcast, we would really, really appreciate you giving us a rating there. That always helps boost our listens and get the word out there. We are Make a Difference at Make a Difference Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, at Make a Diff Pod on X. You can find us on Facebook, Make a Difference with Phil Martelli. You can find him on Instagram at Phil_Martelli. That is where you get your daily fix of the Martelli Minute. That's about all I got. I'm going to leave us with one final. You better say with me because it's the playoffs, man. We need everything.
All right.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.